I reckon we're on, aren't we?
I think we're
Oh, we're on.
all-
No intro. Absolute clown car behind the scenes, as normal. Hello. Welcome back to the Villa View. It's time for a match preview for Villa's game against Manchester City on Wednesday night. This match preview is sponsored by Boohoo Man. In the last few hours of the Cyber Monday sale now, so there's 99% off hundreds of items on boohooman.com. All the links and all that jazz will be in the description. So if you want to go and take advantage of that and dress yourself like a toddler, like me, then you absolutely can do that. Dolan is with me in a slightly less childish tracksuit. There he is, the big man. Dolan, how are you?
Good man. Yeah, pretty good. How are you?
Yeah, I mean, I was fine until I didn't get an introduction on the show as normal. But yeah, don't worry about it.
There's been
Not going
no,
to worry about it.
there's been no social medias, and there's been no
Oh,
intro, and
shambles.
there's been nothing done today. Like, is there?
Nah, absolute shambles, mate. But there we go. It is what it is. But not a shambles at Villa Park. 2 wins in a row for Steven Gerrard's Aston Villa. And you kind of go into the Manchester City game now, knowing it's a kind of a free hit. But you're not massively concerned. You kind of get the feeling that we could do something.
Well, I mean, I'm not
All right,
concerned.
not you then.
Well, no, not me. You know, I'm always glass overflowing. Um, I mean, I think you know the point that you make about not being too concerned is the fact that we picked up 6 points, which is what we needed to do. You know, our run up until Christmas, these next 6 games are tough. You know, City, Leicester, and I think we've got like Burnley in there, and then Norwich in there, which will be emotional.
Chelsea.
Chelsea on Boxing Day.
There we
There
go.
we
Like
there we go.
magic.
There we
You
go.
can do something right.
Just like that. So Liverpool. I mean, they're a really really tough run of games. I think we've got Leeds then after Christmas. So we needed points on the board, and I think getting those back to back wins is massive. And so yes, we obviously want to win and need to win every game and need to get as many points as we possibly can, but it's not like City's a must win. It's not like we're still sort of clambering around to the bottom four. We've kind of moved ourselves out of that danger for now. So listen, we did okay against them last season. I thought, obviously going one up after 20 seconds, but I think it's a different Villa side from when we played them last at home with fans, and we got absolutely mauled and torn to shreds. With a 5-1, 6-1. It was men
God,
against.
you know what? I'd forgotten that even
Yeah,
happened. I was desperately trying to think then what you were talking about, and I've suddenly got images of Danny Drinkwater sweating
Danny,
after 2 minutes.
Drinkwater getting absolutely torn a new one. Yeah, that was.
God, I'd forgot. You know, I'd
Remember that?
completely forgotten about that
Yeah,
game. Completely
yeah.
forgotten about it.
El
Erased it from my
Ghazi,
memory.
El Ghazi penalty in the 91st minute. That was the kind of game where we were still chanting and still in full voice, 5-0 down. But listen, there's every chance we'll give them a game, and I thought this show was going to be about the return of Jack Grealish, but sounds to me like he's not going to be in the squad. Obviously, all the conspiracy theories are flying around. Could he actually have really? I mean, could he have come on and played against Villa? It's like John Terry playing against Chelsea. Could he have done it? I mean, he would have had to because he's on an absolute fortune. So he would have had to. But I just think maybe he is injured, and it's just one of those kind of freak coincidences that he's not playing, and I'm kind of glad he's not playing because it would have been tough to see him at Villa Park in a Man City shirt. So Grealish, Foden, De Bruyne. So if there's any chance of beating them, then why not Wednesday when they're missing their sort of three best players?
Yeah. Only Rodri, Bernardo Silva, and Gundogan in that midfield.
Sterling, Jesus, Mahrez, Rodri.
Not worried.
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, not bothered about that.
Yeah.
But that, you're right, that would have been the headline news. Obviously, Jack Grealish coming back to his old stomping ground, but it kind of feels like all the headlines now are around Steven Gerrard. I mean, I was very, very impressed with Villa on Saturday. from my vantage point, I felt like I could really see the game, see the tactical side of it, see the shape, see what we were doing defensively. You can see so much work's gone into the distances, not even the pressing, because you know what, we didn't actually press that much. We held our shape. We're very, very tactically astute, and the headlines now are all going to be about Steven Gerrard because he's won his 2 first games as a Premier League manager. And speaking to one of his mates in the director's box after the game, he was saying he lives for moments like this. This will be really exciting. The fact he's going up against a manager who's world class like Pep. Like when he was a player, he wants to test himself against the best. He'll be really up for it. And he won't be going into it with the attitude of thinking this is a free hit. He'll be coming up with a game plan and thinking of a way to try and beat Pep and outdo Pep. So I think it's going to be a really interesting game on Wednesday. It'll be really interesting to see how far we've come.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's not going to, you know, yes, he's won his first 2 games, and yes, it's been impressive. But there's gonna be a dip in form at some point. There's going to be times where it's not going to go our way. So the Steven Gerrard team that he wants to finally, create, it's still far too early, mate. It's still far too early. You know, at the minute, our players, I believe, are kind of they're feeding off.
I get that, but you've got to be impressed with what he's done so far in a short space of time.
I was so impressed, like really impressed. But you know, it still isn't the Steven Gerrard. This is still not Steven Gerrard's team, you know, and that's why it's so impressive. So I don't think we're going to see Steven Gerrard's Aston Villa until next summer. You know, when he can work a full pre-season, when he can bring some players in that he trusts and that he knows. So I think at the minute we're kind of living on adrenaline, and there's no doubt, as you said, you know, you were there on, you know, you were Brighton and Palace. I obviously couldn't make Palace, but there's no doubt that the tweaks he's made have massively improved this. But you know, I know that he'll want to progress even more. And Steven Gerrard is all these players that have played at the elite level, like top players, like players that are world class. And you know, for me, Steven Gerrard was world class. They're used to dominating games. They're used to dominating possession. They're used to winning games. So he's going to want his teams to dominate the games of football and dominate possession and win more games than we lose. And at the minute, with the players we have, we're not going to dominate games of football with possession, and we're not going to win more than we lose. But as you quite rightly said, the tweaks that he's made have clearly worked and are clearly working. And I think we all knew the squad was talented. We all knew the squad was full of talented players. But my big thing was lack of fitness, lack of stability in the starting 11, and a real casualness. You know, and there's no way you can be casual when you've got someone like Steven Gerrard as manager. And the culture shift that we need and the mentality that we need, he will certainly bring that. He will bring that, and he's not going to want to. He's really not going to want to be embarrassed, or not going to not want to go and give a real performance on Wednesday. And listen, if there's a time to play Man City, it's now. We've come off the back of 2 brilliant wins. You know, our record against Palace at Selhurst Park is pretty abysmal. I think it's 1 win in like 15 visits or something.
Well, they hadn't lost at home all season either. Exactly. Just the same as Brighton hadn't lost away. Exactly. So, you know, that's 2 big results.
So we're playing them at a time when they're missing 3 really, really, really key players. And they're playing us at a time when we're starting to really look like we're coming to the form. Bailey's getting better in terms of fitness. Nakamba has been outstanding, you know. Okay, and there's always players that just seem to go up another level. And you know, he could be, I mean, I know it's only 2 games against Brighton and Palace, but his levels, I mean, you've seen him live, you were there on Saturday, his levels seem to have really...
Yeah, I was going to say, all 3 of the midfielders, the change in them from what I was saying before, there's a noticeable change from all 3 of them. We're looking after the ball a hell of a lot better. We might not have had loads of possession against Palace, but you know, Palace are a bit more of a possession side again with Vieira now. Yeah, plus we went ahead relatively early, so you don't need to be in charge of possession. You want to keep your shape, you want to keep it tight, keep those distances that Steven Gerrard talked about, and we did that really, really well. In Nakamba, honestly, it's like watching a different player. I've never been his biggest fan, if I'm being completely honest. But I thought he was okay against Brighton, but he was really good against Palace. Arguably the man of the match. McGinn, he's looking very tactically astute. Maybe not bombing forward quite as much as he'd like to at the moment, but again, very astute performance.
Yeah.
Ramsey just glides when he has the ball. I mean, to be fair, he was doing that anyway. But just as a unit, the three of them are doing everything you would want a midfielder to do better than they were before Steven Gerrard came in.
Yeah.
And it just looks a lot more balanced, looks a lot more healthy in there. Mings was unbelievable, especially in the first half. Some really, really key defensive contributions.
He had Benteke into his pocket all game.
Yeah. Bailey and Watkins didn't have great games, but they ran their socks off. They worked hard. Ashley Young just provided that little bit of composure, that little bit of know-how, knowing when to go backwards, knowing when to go forwards. I suspect we'll keep the same team against Manchester City.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like with Young. Did I say it off air or on air? I seem to make all the best points off air.
I think it may have been off air.
Yeah, I really fancy them to start Young against Palace. I know that when you walk into a dressing room, you walk into a new setup, you need to find players that you can trust and that you can leverage towards. And,
that's what he is.
And that's what he's doing. And he knows Ashley Young. He's played with Ashley Young. He knows he can trust him. He knows he's a winner. So he's got to go in there and kind of have Ashley as his eyes and ears around the dressing room when he's not there. Obviously, alongside Mings and McGinn as captain and vice captain. But he's, again, you forget. You saw glimpses of that against Brighton when Young picked the ball up before Watkins' first goal, and it was like the Ashley Young of old. It was a joy to see, and it brought back some great memories. But I think it'll be the same team, but I think it's whether or not he brings in Buendia, because I don't think Young can maybe start 2 games
he's a fit guy still. He's still one of the fittest there.
He's a fit, no, without a doubt. It's without a doubt. It's like the whole Ronaldo question. Can he play every game? Hence why he was rested yesterday. But I think it'll be the same team. But whether or not he starts Young again is, I think it's between Young and Buendia. And then I think Bailey has to play because he has to keep getting those minutes. He has to keep getting those minutes in. But there's a good point there. Does Luis come back into the fold now that he's kind of?
I don't think it's not for this one.
But again, I think Gerard's the kind of player or the kind of manager that if you're on form, you play. He doesn't strike me as being the kind of manager to pick players based on their on their name or on their price tag. And Nakamba keeps the shirt, and that's the way it should be. But yeah, I just there was a moment. There's a really good clip on YouTube. You type in Steven Gerrard on YouTube. There's like a fans obviously just filmed them after the Palace game.
The one with Martinez.
Yeah. Well, at the end when he goes over to him, and you can see Martinez is like visibly annoyed at letting in the last minute goal, and just he said something to him, and it was kind of like it was just a little 4 or 5 second clip. And he said something to him, and he's giving a few instructions, and he's like hitting his chest and all this. And he's like you just know he's like, don't worry about it, forget about it. Great win, and go over and celebrate with the fans. And it's just those little kind of nuggets that people like Gerrard will just have in abundance. Because he's just used to like saying the right things at the right time. And I think that's his biggest, for me, that'll be his biggest strength is his man management. And I've said before, footballers now, I think it's all about that level of man management. And you look at someone like Michael Carrick came out and praised the performance yesterday, and he's obviously worked with modern day footballers, and he kind of feels that's the best way to sort of get the best out of them. Whereas Keane, who's a lot more old school and probably hasn't worked with as many modern day footballers, was like, where was that performance of the last 2-3 months? And I think that's the difference. It's like understanding the modern player, understanding the modern footballer, and it's not like it was 15 years ago, 20 years ago, and it's all about man management, because Gerrard clearly has a team around him, and listen, he isn't stupid. He's going to be very tactically aware himself, but I think he brings in great people around him, and Ings at Poacher?
We've just been doing this Football Manager live stream,
Oh, okay.
and no one who's watching this will have watched that Football Manager live stream. Don't be flashing Dan Rollinson's comments on the screen, producer. Absolutely not. What are we doing there? But what I wanted to say to you, to interrupt you completely, because I can't remember what you were saying, but use of subs is a big thing so far. Assists off the bench 2 weeks running. You know, to the winning goals were from assists from people coming off the bench. El Ghazi's come off the bench 2 weeks running.
Done very well.
It's really lively. Probably played a combined time of about not even 15 minutes. Made an impact when he's on the pitch.
Yeah.
When Dare was involved in the goal, nice passing. Just these short, sharp touches. The passing seems to have been sorted out.
Yeah.
Almost overnight. We've seen like a better team on the ball than we were. Still have our moments where we can't hold it to save our lives, but the little intricate passing seems to be there, and Buendia will be key to that. But I'm really encouraged by the use of the subs bench so far, because that's been something that's affected both games and swung both games for Villa.
And that was probably one thing you could have said about Dean Smith. He probably always made his substitutions. We felt as a fan base, he probably made his substitutions maybe 5 or 10 minutes too late. And you were sort of timed, you were just crying out for him to make a change, and it always came too late, you know. Just on El Ghazi, maybe it's me reading it a little bit too much, but it really bugs me that he never celebrates when we score, and that really annoys me.
Didn't it?
No, he never. There's no emotion for him, you know, and it's something I've always looked at. It's like I always look at how other players react when their teammates score, and he never, ever celebrates, and it really bugs me.
If you get assists, I don't care.
Yeah, well, it's just I don't know. It just. Do you remember? I forget. Do you remember we played Bristol City in the Championship?
Gosh, which one was this?
It was our first season in the Championship, and Grealish scored a worldly. I think it was Grealish, and AU.
We lost 3-1.
Yeah. AU didn't celebrate, and I remember like Dr. Tony. Somebody said it to him on Twitter, and Dr. Tony was like, "Yeah, I'll have to have a word with him about that." But,
I don't think we should be basing things off those days, to be honest.
It was more just like. When players, I don't know, when players don't celebrate when their teammates score, it just winds me up. But yeah, I've just noticed that about El Ghazi. He never.
I mean, in those days, I was virtually on the transfer committee.
Yeah.
So I don't think we should read too much into those times at all. We should have known it was a mess when things like that were happening. Yeah. To be honest, just trying to focus on Manchester City a little bit. Then kind of did enough against West Ham, although the conditions were not brilliant at all. On Sunday. So, we'll have had a day's extra rest. People think those things don't make a difference, but actually they do. That extra day is helpful in terms of recovery, a bit more work on the training pitch for Steven Gerrard and his coaching staff. By the way, I've never seen so many people come off a substitutes bench at the end of a game.
Yeah, how many staff?
The Palace bench is pretty small as well, and suddenly all these people just came from nowhere. Loads of people coming out. It was mad.
Yeah. He's certainly. I think it was Greg tweeted, was like, "You'll certainly win the award for having most staff on a bench."
Sensational numbers. If we needed to put an 11 out of staff, we could do it comfortably with subs.
Everything's covered, all bases are covered, But yeah, I mean, I think as you say, an extra day's rest, yeah. But I'd imagine, being a fellow athlete, I would imagine playing in the snow and playing in those conditions cannot be good. Cannot be good for your muscle capacity. I mean that's that. That.
I don't even know how to answer this.
But I'm just saying, like playing in those conditions can't be helpful. So there's no doubt that having the extra day, but also having played 90 minutes in those conditions as well would have been pretty brutal. So I think City got the job done. They've been good this season, but they're obviously very beatable as Palace showed. And
they did have 10 men in that game. I've seen a few people bring up. They did have 10 men. Usually they'll keep a clean sheet. They can be as good as they are. They can be quite methodical and just grind out a 1-0. It could be a game like that quite easily.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. But do I fancy us? No. Do I think?
That could be any game.
Do I think we'll give them a game? Yes. Would it take a draw? Yes.
Oh, again, that could be any game.
Exactly. But listen, we're not at the levels of Man City, but they said they're the only team really. I mean, we've beaten Chelsea, we've beaten Arsenal, we've beaten Liverpool, we've beaten Spurs, we've beaten United. Just can't seem to beat Man City. Just can't seem.
I mean, a lot of teams struggle with beating.
They do.
They are very good.
No, of course they are. But you always, we've managed to get a result against all the other sort of bigger teams in this division, and we just can't seem to find a way past Man City. And
Maybe now's the time.
and that's it, man. I mean, like, we all know the squads for the talented footballers, and I think with Villa over the years, it's probably always been a mentality thing, a mentality around the club, and there's no doubt that he's going to bring that, and that's, for me, that's Gerard's biggest strength is his winning mentality and the standards that he sets himself. But yeah, it'll be tough. It'll be tough. We struggled to keep the ball against Brighton, and they're a possession-based team. City take possession to another level, so it'll be I can't see us dominating the game, but if we can go ahead like we did last year, I think we've got a better chance of closing it out this time around than we did last year. That's for sure.
I just think from being at that Palace game, a lot of what I saw defensively in the shape off the ball, a lot of what we used could be applied to this game. It's in some ways I feel like the building blocks were being put in place for Wednesday on Saturday with the way we defended at times. It didn't feel like we always, it sounds stupid, but it didn't feel like we always needed to be defending in the way that we were, but it almost felt like it was a rehearsal for coming up against City, who Palace like to keep the ball, but like you say, City will take it to a new level. Gerard's very big on this. We knew we'd have to suffer. We knew there'd be moments when we'd suffer without the ball. But in the main, apart from conceding a late sloppy goal in stoppage time,
Didn't have a chance.
For 90 minutes,
yeah,
they haven't really looked in too much danger defensively.
No.
I know Manchester City, yes, they're going to have chances. Obviously, we're going to need Martinez to have a good game. We're going to need Mings and Konsa to be on the game. But you kind of feel like the building blocks are being put in place.
And that's it. I mean, we obviously want to see attacking football. We want to see a brand of football that gets us off our seats. But I think it's like, as Gerard said, it's every team needs to be based from a solid back four and a solid goalkeeper. And we were this season, we were the Villa of 2 seasons ago, when we were just so easy to play against, so easy to beat. And we saw what we can be last season in terms of a defensive unit and still play really good football. And we have just been far too easy to beat this season. And like I say, all of our troubles, as we know over the years, have come. You can literally walk past our midfield. Like you've seen it this season. Southampton just glided past us. Arsenal just played through our midfield. Anytime we were getting beat this season, opposite teams were just literally strolling past us. So again, if Gerard, it's like I said before, if he can do one thing and get that midfield three solid and on point, then we're gonna be a threat, and we're gonna be a match for most teams in a division. Because for me, a lot of games of football are won and lost in the midfield, and we were just miles off it. Now, I don't know if that's because we're playing closer together as a unit. We seem to be a lot more compact.
It's a lot more cohesive. But one thing I did notice from my vantage point was when you press, the whole team's like kind of on the move.
Yeah.
So it just looks like one unit. Even when one person presses, everyone else is moving at the same time. It just looked a lot more cohesive, and you could see it had been worked on in training, which is always a good thing if you can see a visible improvement and you can see that something's been worked on in training. So that's a positive.
Yeah. No, definitely, mate. Definitely. I think that's the way every team has to play now. It's that pressing game. I really loved the goal. I really loved that Sancho goal yesterday. I just loved seeing Sancho and Rashford just literally hound down Jorginho and forced him into that mistake. That's the way all top teams have to play. It's like Man City. Yes, they're beautiful in the eye, but they still work the hardest out of any team.
Yeah, they do.
Liverpool, phenomenal in the eye, still run the most. Their distance covered is again off the chart. So all the best teams in world football, they do the hard part too. They graft, they work, they run, they press, and that's what every top team want to base their game on. It's that high intensity pressing game, and you need to be seriously fit. And I think if we can get our fitness levels to where they need to be, then I think that's what we'll see. We'll see a really high intensity pressing team.
I mean, Gerrard's obviously worked at Liverpool as a manager of the under-18s. There's no way he hasn't picked up stuff on pressing from Klopp.
Totally.
Absolutely no chance he's not picked anything up, because they will want the academy to play in the same way as the first team. So there's definitely been things picked up from Klopp and all the other great managers he's worked under over the years. So it should be an exciting time. You're not necessarily going to be 3 points for Villa on Wednesday, but I think a good performance will leave us all feeling very, very satisfied with Steven Gerrard's start. And then we'll see what happens against Leicester on Sunday. I think that does us for this week's match. Oh, no, he doesn't. Dolan's still there. He still wants to talk.
Just touch briefly. I don't know if you saw the Christian Perslow interview.
I still haven't seen it. I need to catch up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then we'll save that then. That's going to maybe talk about it.
Let me catch up and we'll talk about it on the post-match point or the match preview next time. We'll talk about it. But I need to watch it. Yeah. Right then, that does us. As I say before, Dolan rudely interrupted my outro. It's fine. It's fine. Thanks to Boohoo Man for sponsoring us. Don't forget to check out those Cyber Monday deals. All the links should be in the description and on social media. So if you want to go and check them out, do so. We'll be back probably with a post-match point on Thursday night, I would say, because, Wednesday's a night game. I've got to get back. Yeah, it's going to be Thursday night for a post-match point, and then there will be a match preview for Leicester as well. Also, don't forget, newly launched yesterday on the Villa Views shop. You may not even know that we have a shop, but we do. The Stevie G mug, picture of Steven Gerrard celebrating in his first game on a mug. The perfect stocking filler for the Villa fan in your life, or for yourself if you like to treat yourself as well. There we go, as if by magic. It's on the screen, yeah. If you fancy treating yourself to a new mug to replace that Jack Grealish mug that you bought off us this time last year, then you can do so right now. Just visit the shop. Again, I believe the link will be in the description, and it's definitely flashing along the bottom of the screen. Thanks to Dolan for coming on. Thanks for Adam as well for not giving us an intro to the show. Have a great night. Enjoy the game on Wednesday, and up the Villa.